Which college quarterbacks will be future stars in the NFL? We're going to talk about that in today's video. As always, if you could like this video and subscribe to the channel, that would be fantastic. We're here to help you win your fantasy championships, whether you play Dynasty, Redraft, Guillotine, DFS, whatever you play. We're here to help you win. And today we're putting out some Dynasty content, looking at 5 quarterbacks that I'm kind of intrigued by. I wouldn't call it my official top 5 list. I'm not going to do that until I see about a month's worth of games and start putting my list and adjust accordingly. But these are definitely 5 guys that I wouldn't be surprised if they are in my top 5, and just guys that I'm intrigued to see how they play this year in college football. I've already put out some other videos. There's going to be a receivers, a tight ends, a running back, and a quarterback. Just 5 guys for each. As the season progresses, we're going to get into more. We're going to look at the top 15, top 20 guys and just how they're playing and what we're seeing and scouting them. And I mentioned this in other videos that the Dynasty players that are most successful in their rookie drafts, that are most successful just as winning their Dynasty leagues, are the ones that scout the players and do their homework. They don't wait until a week before their Dynasty rookie drafts to start doing their homework. They don't react to what happens in the NFL draft necessarily. They go with what they saw in September and October and November on the football field or in the combine and all this other stuff. I've mentioned this in multiple videos now. It reminds me of the Clyde Edwards-Helaire and the Jonathan Taylor situation. If you were doing your homework and you were watching college football, scouting these guys, you knew Jonathan Taylor was the better running back. But everyone reacted to Clyde going to the Chiefs in the first round and drafted him over Jonathan Taylor. And that's a huge mistake, a huge mistake that you made. So we're looking at quarterbacks today, and we'll get right into it. And I told you this isn't my top 5, but this guy is in my top 5. He is my number 1 quarterback. He is everyone's number 1 quarterback, essentially. And that is Caleb Williams from USC. You can see his numbers down there from 2022, over 4,500 yards, 42 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, almost 400 yards rushing, and 10 more touchdowns. Now, I mentioned this a lot. Stats are not the be all end all when it comes to college football. There's a lot more that comes into it, and it goes in. It comes into play to evaluate whether you're going to be good in the NFL or not. But yeah, this is Caleb Williams is the de facto number 1 pick right now. If he came out in last year's draft, I think he would have been the number 1 pick. So over Bryce Young, teams are tanking for him. And everyone's excited. He actually has, this is September 1st when I'm recording this. So it's the first weekend of college football, but Caleb Williams and USC actually played kind of in week 0 last week. And he threw for almost 300 yards and 4 touchdowns. So the guy is awesome. He's awesome. He's going to be the number 1 pick. What team he goes to, who knows? And he doesn't have to come out, by the way. Keep that in mind. But if you are in Dynasty this year and you're kind of a middle-of-the-road team, I suggest you maybe tank if you can, if your league allows it, because there's between him and another guy we're going to talk about, Marvin Harrison Jr., Brock Bowers, there's a lot of really good prospects at the top of this draft. So Caleb Williams, man, top 5 in passing grade according to PFF, top 5 in rushing grade, top 3 overall grade. He was the best quarterback under pressure, which is probably the most impressive thing about him is, these quarterbacks that look so good in college and then fail in the NFL is usually because they go to a team that's not very good, not with a not so good offensive line, and can't play under pressure. Caleb Williams was the best quarterback in college football under pressure. Check that box. Of course, it's different in the NFL, but still, check that box. His big-time throws, which is basically throws that are considered most of the time downfield throws in tight windows, when the receiver's in a contested big time throws, it actually increased when he was under pressure. He played better. He made more big time throws when he was under pressure, which is something you just don't hear about. And obviously he has a rushing floor there. You see 400 yards rushing. The guy's mobile enough. He's not a running quarterback, but he could be he's the closest thing to Mahomes that you're going to see in a, I'm not saying he's Patrick Mahomes, but he's the closest thing to him just in terms of his arm talent, the way he makes throws, the way he can move. So he's going to give you a solid rushing floor. Like Mahomes gives you 400 yards rushing every year. Not because he runs. I don't even know how many design runs Mahomes actually has, but because he can move with his legs, extend plays, and then scramble. So I love Caleb Williams. Obviously, everyone does. Another guy that people really love is Drake Maye from North Carolina. Now, despite what a lot of people think, I don't think Drake Maye is that far behind Caleb Williams, just in terms of their as an overall prospect. I think there's definitely a step. Caleb Williams is a step above, but Drake Maye is really good himself. So if he's the number two, he's a good chance he's it depends on who's picking number two, but wouldn't be surprised if he's the number two off the board. He was top 5 overall quarterback according to PFF grade, top 3 in passing grade. His big time throw percentage was second in all of FBS football, which is fantastic. You want to see quarterbacks make big time throws. Those tight window throws down the field is really what you want to see. And he's just an awesome down the field passer. Really, really awesome. Really good. One of the best in college football last year, passing, throwing the ball 15, 20 yards down the field. You see his stats down there, over 4,300 yards, 38 touchdowns. Also ran for 700 yards, so he's mobile. Again, I don't think he's going to necessarily be like a Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts kind of guy, but he can produce with his feet for sure, as a lot of quarterbacks can these days. Drake Maye is awesome. He is, to me, the clear-cut number 2 guy. It's kind of a clear-cut top 3, in my opinion. The third guy being the next one we're going to talk about. But it's Caleb, it's Drake Maye, and then it's this next guy that we're going to talk about, who is Bo Nix from Oregon. Bo Nix looked fantastic last year. Almost 3,600 yards passing, almost 30 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, 500 yards rushing, 14 touchdowns on the ground. The dude was awesome, and I was surprised because if you watched him at Auburn, you're like, this guy sucks. You know, a lot of hype around him. I shouldn't say he sucks, but he did not live up to the hype around him when he was at Auburn, and he went to Oregon and just turned it all around. Now, I think that's something to keep an eye on this year. We've seen a couple years of poor play when he was at Auburn. And then we've seen 1 year of really good play when he transferred to Oregon. Is that just because Oregon's a better program at the moment, better players, better coaching? Who knows? Maybe. But it's something to keep an eye on, in my opinion. It's something that we need to think about. And if he kind of regresses this year, we got to think, okay, so now we've seen 2 bad years, 1 great year, and then 1 year where he's kind of regressed. And that's going to hurt his stock for sure, in my opinion. But I don't think there's kind of no reason to expect him to regress. I think he's going to have a really good year. He was also great under pressure. He was actually better than Bryce Young under pressure. And that was kind of one of the things that people were talking about with Bryce Young. He had no turnover-worthy plays under pressure, which means he wasn't freaking out and just chucking the ball down the field or, throwing it blindly across his body. No turnover-worthy plays under pressure, which is what you want to see. That's the number one thing. You don't want your quarterback to turn the ball over. That's like a lot of guys have jobs. Jimmy Garoppolo comes to mind. A lot of guys have jobs in the NFL because they're careful with the ball. Not that they're necessarily super good quarterbacks or amazing arm talent, but they protect the ball. So like to see that. He didn't throw the ball deep too much, but when he did, he was really good at it. He did a lot of short passes with the Oregon offense. I would like to see him kind of push the ball more, but Oregon kind of did the same thing with Justin Herbert, where they didn't really unleash his arm and have him push the ball down the field a lot. And then Herbert gets to the NFL and it's like, holy crap, this guy's one of the best deep ball passers in the game. So to me, this is the clear-cut top 3. It's Caleb Williams, Drake Maye, Bo Nix. I think Caleb Williams is kind of stamped as the number 1 guy. I wouldn't be surprised by the end of this year if Bo Nix kind of passes up Drake Maye. So I think these are 2-3 really good quarterbacks, and potentially all 3 of these guys, would have gone very high if they came out in last year's draft. So moving on, we got 2 more guys we're going to talk about. Next one is Michael Penix Jr. Ooh, that overlay is a little bad. That football is right in my face. But anyways, we'll kind of move over here and deal with that. Michael Penix Jr. from Washington. This guy, man, if he makes it to the NFL, he's like an inspiration story. If he makes it to the NFL and becomes like a starter, that is awesome. The dude has had insane injury history. He tore his ACL twice in 2018 and 2020. He hurt a joint that connects the clavicle to the sternum. It was a pretty bad injury, I believe. He had an AC joint injury in 2021. The dude's just been hurt his entire college career, except for last year. Last year was the first time that he played double-digit games in college, and he was really damn good. You see his numbers, over 4,600 yards, 31 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. Didn't do much on the ground there in terms of rushing yards, but yeah, the guy was awesome last year. Great to see. You know, he's super intriguing, but he's also, we got to see it again type of thing. You know, teams are going to be they're going to be a little bit hesitant on a guy that's had so many injuries. He really needs to improve, at least play as good as he did, or improve on what he did last year, and then you're going to see him his stock kind of rise, in my opinion. I think he's fun to watch. I think he's a fun player. Nice to see Washington with a good quarterback. So if he's healthy this year and improves, his stock could just rise really, really high. So that is our fourth guy here. It definitely, there's a teardrop between, like, I think Caleb Williams, Drake Maye, Bo Nix, as of now, to me, are first-round picks, very high first-round picks. These next two guys, you know, not necessarily our first-round picks at the moment. So last guy here is Riley Leonard from Duke. Again, this guy kind of raw. We need to see a lot, not raw, but we need to see a lot more. We need to see more from him. He's not like a Caleb Williams, who's already a first-round pick. He needs to do more. You know, he needs to improve his accuracy. He needs to improve his play under pressure, definitely. But he's definitely flashed and shown skills. He's shown throws. He's shown ability to be a starter in the NFL, in my opinion. Not eye-popping numbers, 3,000 yards passing, 20 touchdowns. He can run. He had 700 yards rushing. Over 400 of those were on designed run plays. So not just scrambles, but designed run plays. So he can run the ball on the ground. Hate to say it, he kind of reminds me a little bit of like a Daniel Jones style of player. But he does need to improve in his accuracy. But he's shown these flashes that NFL scouts are going to love. And so if he can improve this year, I'm really paying attention to him, because he could kind of explode and rise up draft boards, in my opinion. So those are 5 quarterbacks that I'm going to be watching this year. Kind of maybe my 5. I think 3 of them are for sure in my top 5. We'll see a month in. As always, do your homework, man. If you do your little bit of scouting here and there and pay attention, not just after the NFL draft, pay attention all year long, you're going to do well in your rookie drafts. That's how you win in Dynasty, is you hit those second, third round rookie draft picks. So that's all I have for you today. As always, if you could like this video and subscribe, we'll be back with more content.